Welcome, welcome. Let me just get myself together here. I do have my tea, so if you guys can pause and make some tea, go ahead and do that. My screen. Okay. Hello, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. All right, so I'm taking your life burning questions. I do have some pre-submitted, but I will prioritize live calls. And let me make sure I can see both chats. And then let me grab my notes, because the ones that are pre-submitted, the good thing is I do get to think about those for a second. Okay, once Yvette, me, has my life together here, we'll begin. And like I said, get your where's my YouTube? Get your tea or anything to drink. Grab your notes if you're going to ask a question. But again, I mean, the replay's here. Is it ever a bad time for tea? I feel like no. I feel like tea is always, that thing that just really makes everything, okay, let me be present, because you have to be present with something that's hot so you don't burn your tongue. Okay. All right. Let's get into it. Welcome. That's too hot. Welcome to the Clarity Hotline. We're taking your life's burning questions. I can choose not to answer a question, but ultimately I'm going to try to get to anything you ask me. And let's start with taking a deep breath in and out, just to center and calm and be here right now. That feels good. All right, clutter-free family, let's do this. I will just kind of throw this out there. We are getting a lot of questions from YouTuber, so people who are on YouTube. So the questions tend to be oriented around business, but I do have a question from last week that I promised I would get back to. So Tara, I know I answered a little bit of your question last week, and I'll get more into the nuance of the answer. And if you're watching, Tara, did you like my answer? I didn't think you would like my answer because it involved time that we don't have as moms, and so it's just tough to do what's ideal sometimes, I guess, what we would like to do. However, if you're thinking long term and you're going after something with a long-term game plan, which is building your family, right? And a long-term game plan, building a business. So if all that stuff has kind of this long-term game plan, then I'm assuming you want to put in the time necessary to set the right foundation. That goes for parenting, that goes for building a business, that goes for if you have clients or you're coaching or you're creating content, right? The end user, you are considerate of that, right? This long-term play. And so Tara's question, to remind everybody who's just joining us, as a working mom of 4, I'm having a tough time keeping my house clean, and it's driving me crazy seeing my house a mess every single day, and it's affecting my happiness. How can I get my family to help me clean more? So let me recap what I said last week. So is the goal to have your house clean? Oh, let me actually throw out the questions that we're going over, actually. So we've got, as a working mom of 4, I'm having a tough time. How do I get my family to help me out more, to clean up? And then we've got a question from a mom of toddlers and a 6-month-old. How can I make time for my business when I only have time to be mom? It takes all of my time to be a mom. And then, should I buy a course on marketing to help me sell my signature course? So those are the questions I kind of pulled out as the ones we'll get started with. And we'll see what we can get through, including any live questions. Okay, so Tara, we talked about it last week. So let me just kind of pull this back, this curtain of like how to get your family to clean more. And it really boils down to, are they bought in to the end result of a clean house like you are. You know how you want to have your house clean. You've seen the results of having a clean house and what it does for you mentally and physically, emotionally. And our babies don't have that awareness or that cognizance or that the contrast of clean versus messy, right? So we've got to teach them. We've got to teach them because we want them to help us clean more. And it takes a lot of patience on our part to teach them that, okay, this is why we clean, right? We want to clean space. And if they're young enough that they're not in school learning those kinds of things, because no teacher is going to clean up the whole classroom herself or himself, then it's like, okay, you know, I get thrown off on the pronouns. I'll be honest. Sorry. I talk to women so often that I just kind of am in her world. So just throwing that disclaimer out. Don't hold it against me. But is it more important, right? When you think about getting your family to help you clean more, is it more important to have your house clean or that your family help you clean? Because if it's more important that your family help you clean, then you'll put in the time to make them aware of what it is to clean. And if it's more important that your house is clean, then you'll always resort to doing the work yourself because it's just faster. It's faster. You know what you're doing. You know where everything goes. You don't have to explain it to anybody. So you just end up doing it yourself. Same thing for like your partner, right? You don't always have to explain things when it comes to taking care of the kids because it takes time and you're already burnt out. You don't have time to explain things. Maybe you have time to write a Post-it note. But then even that gets overlooked and maybe judged as a nuisance by some of our partners. And but it's like, that's all I have time for is to write a Post-it. But anyway, so when you're thinking about helping your family clean more, you've got to become the tutor of that process. You're tutoring that life skill because you've got the skill and they don't. And when you really want change, you put in the time, right? You invest the time and the energy, the patience, the understanding, and you pull from your student their cooperation, because as you take the time to help them learn these skills, they grow in their buy-in on what the process and the end result that they're working toward. So there's no bribing that needs to happen because they're bought in. There's no bribing, there's no incentivizing necessary for them to want to have a clean house too. So that's the incentive for you, right? That you don't, sorry, I have a little ouchie on my pinky, so I'm covering it up. But anyway, you've got the skills and you need to impart that on them. So that way it's less of a teeth pull later when you're trying to get your family to help you, right? You've got to teach those skills, or at least come onto the same page as what a clean house entails, what a clean house looks like, what a clean house feels like, so that you can all agree that, hey, this is what a clean house feels and looks like, and this is how to get to that result. Maybe they'll go a different direction. They'll go a different route to getting to the clean house, and you can hear them out on, oh, instead of starting bathroom first, we start living room first on a cleanup Saturday or whatever. So you know what I mean? Like, you just kind of want to, when they feel like they contribute, kids or spouse, partner, whatever, roommates, when they feel like they're contributing to the process getting built, then when they're more part of the process, then they are more bought in and they are more invested in their role in getting the thing done. So that's really important. And I think what upsets people is, kids don't listen. We're barking chores at them and we're telling them to go clean the bathroom, clean your room, and we're yelling it from the bottom of the stairs, clean your room, or don't come down here, or you can't eat until, such and such is done. And we're barking these orders, but there's no real reconnaissance as a family as to why it's so urgent. Why do I have to do that? What does that mean? Why does a clean room mean I can eat dinner? Why does a clean room mean I can XYZ? Why does a clean room mean that I'm able to do these things that I want to do? So we haven't explained all that until we do explain all that, and we say, clean room allows us to have the space in our home and nobody to feel stressed out, so that when you leave the house and go to your bonfire, then I'm not left here in the mess to clean it up myself. So then that affects my happiness. And so we all want to be happy, right? We all want to share in these of good vibes in the house. So we're all helping each other live a good life. Okay. So if that's how you want to throw it out there, that's how I would. If I had teenagers going to bonfires. But ultimately, we've got to come to an agreement on that there's this natural incentive to want a clean home. Okay. Because everyone benefits, them included. And so when you feel like your kids aren't listening to, the chore list or following the rules when it comes to you can't have a you can't go out on Friday nights. I'm talking to teenager moms. I don't know why all of a sudden I am. I don't even know if she has teenagers. She's a working mom of 4, but I'm guessing so, because she says, "How can I get my family to help me clean more?" And it's really the process starts in the toddler days, right? When they're first noticing what it is to clean up, and that it could be fun and they could help mommy, and helping mommy is fun, right? All those things. So that foundation, if it wasn't built, is harder when they're teenagers for them to be in the mode of cleaning. Okay. So it goes to kind of that too. But if they're not listening to the command of the order that you're setting forth, it's because they weren't part of the process. So take some time to, whatever the ages of your kids are, take some time to walk them through the process. So spend the time, and it'll take several weeks. It'll take several weeks to get through the whole house, let's say, or to get through what you believe their age, whatever their age justifies as developmentally, I don't know, whatever they can do at their age, whatever they can clean up at their age on their own is something to work on teaching them to do. If they could make their own bed, if they could put their toys away in the bins after they take them out, or don't take new toys out unless the old ones are back in the bin, that's a little bit harder, because you really do want, I believe play is so important. And play is not cleaning up. There's play, so you designate time for play, and then you designate time for cleaning up. They can't coincide. I can't be playing and then always having to put back. There's no freedom for the child to be creative and explore and experience it. There's too many rules. So if you can understand that what's important at their age, these precious early years, is to just be free, explore, not have to do one thing. There's no contingency plan, right? There's no, in order to get this bin out, you have to put this one back. Not at that age. If you can avoid that, and leave room, so there's play to just be free and explore and do their thing, and then clean up to the best of their ability, right? So week 1 looks like, okay, let's clean up 5 minutes. We're going to clean up, giving them a little bit of a warning, giving them 10 minutes to slowly show them what it looks like. They're going to get distracted, wander off, not help. You're going to do it yourself. And then week 2 comes, and then they're going to get less distracted. They're going to put 1 or 2 toys away and then get distracted and walk off. And then you're going to do the rest yourself. And then week 3, they're going to help you a little bit more. They're maybe going to take out less toys because they don't want to put as many toys back. And then you end up cleaning the rest yourself. Then week 4, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. And so this is kind of what we're working toward them. We're going the distance alongside them. And we're just guiding them to this natural inclination to clean up. We're guiding them. We're not forcing them. We're not pushing them. We're not telling them. We're teaching them, hey, this is how it feels. This is what it could look like. And this is how it could be. So all that to get back to my notes. What else did I say to Tara? if you guys have these kinds of questions, how do I clean my house? How can I declutter? Nothing's really off limits on these clarity hotlines. If it helps you achieve 360-degree clarity in your life, it's a question for you. There are so many layers to our lives, that, if to our identity, to what and who to what we identify with and who we identify as. There are layers, and we've got to penetrate all the layers in order for all the parts of ourselves to be bought in on an idea, to have it as a belief, to live it as a habit, right? All those layers have been touched in some way if it's a habit. If you're living as though it's your second nature to behave this way, then your identity has now fully aligned itself with this belief, with this way of life. Okay. So knowing that, your kids need the time for you to help peel back all the layers so far, right, that they've learned so far, without impinging on the presence of play, being present at play, being present with play, and being present to play with them. So you as parent get to be present in the play. And what that does, and why it could be frustrating, is it really invites us to slow down, First step in the declutter code, slow down. Why is that the first step of any decluttering journey? Because and beyond, it's very much our decluttering journey, our life journey, any journey we go on. Slowing down first is the start, is the beginning. Slowing down to assess, to take note, to introspect, to reflect, all those things is kind of like the start of it all. And so when our kids invite us to slow down, we're reminded that they don't know half of what you know. And it takes a long time for them to even learn half of what you know, well into them being out of the house, graduated and moved on, married, for them to know half of what you know. Because I imagine you've got some distance between your child and you, and you've been growing as they've been growing in years and understanding and in life experience. And so all of that, you got a leg up on them. So respectfully, right? Let them learn from you. And, one thing with kids is like, so much of our bandwidth is taken up on the development of their brains. And they're asking a lot of questions. They need a lot from us in terms of what we're anticipating they'll need next, like a meal, like a bath, like water, hydration. If you're not nursing and it's not that small of a baby, you've got older kids walking around on their 2 feet, then it's always an anticipating game. And the trouble is getting present in that, in the motherhood, in what you need, what they need, what the household at large needs. It's kind of like this constant juggling act mentally. And so that's our mental load. It's just kind of like, what's next? What does this moment need from me right now? How can I be the best that I can be? Without judging myself for maybe not being perfect. All these things are going on inside the mind of a mother, especially because I'm hearing it, I'm living it, I'm seeing it. So I feel like I'm definitely. Yikes! I lost my screen here. Hold on. I'm definitely getting well versed in the nature of motherhood and really the struggles we face as mothers, which is why I've got such a heart for mothers to especially help them in this journey of, having a fulfilled, balanced life, balancing business and babies, right? That's really where my heart is right now. Okay, let's see. Can I wrap this question up and move on to the next one? I think so. I think so. Um, I guess let me just impart some ins some let me give a little pep talk. Because it takes time and we don't have a lot of it, we choose what we make time for. We know what matters to us, so we don't wanna do life as usual, right? Life before kids, life with just us and our partner. Those roles have changed. We're not only the spouse of our partner or, having we don't it's just not me and my partner anymore. There's now a third person, fourth, fifth person in the house that also needs to be brought up to speed. And we need to slow down with each new person taking on the new learning curve. And it's challenging. It is challenging. We don't have a lot of time as moms. So much time from, if you have multiples, gets cut from the next person's development in the line, in the chain, what I don't know, the food chain, in the rank and file of our families. And whatever that is for you, no judgment, but I have an idea of what it is. I know that I put my kids first before myself, and getting back to myself took some time in order to find that there could be a nice little equilibrium there where it's not me sacrificing and abandoning myself anymore. I absolutely am able to, make time for both. And in that, I ask for a lot of help doing it. I ask for a lot of help, no shame in my game, and I wasn't always good at asking for help, and I still am not great. I feel like I could get more help. All that to say, we don't have a lot of time as mothers, given our priorities, given our responsibilities, given what's put on our plate without our asking, uh, and our rise to the challenge. We are going to rise to the challenge because we want to be good parents. We have our kids' best interest at heart. We know that part of being a good parent means breaking generational trauma. It means creating generational wealth. It means giving them opportunities we never had. It means advancing our families, building a legacy, right? So much of that is weighing on your mind if you're anything like me. Okay. So I say simplify, simplify, simplify. So if you um, want to declutter, if you need a certain space in your house clean, I've heard actually another professional, or well, I'm not, I've heard a professional organizer say this, where it's like, choose a space in your house to keep clean so that there's at least that for you to go into, that you can kind of always gaze upon that space and feel a sense of peace and relief. And I agree, right? And so if everyone can kind of respect that this is the clean space, and there are other places to play and mess up and get dirty and paint on the walls, whatever, without anyone having a hissy fit, then you can be like, okay, you know, um, this feels good. Everyone kind of respects that. And that's a good starting point. This is a clean space, and this is a place where we get to throw things around, but then clean up after, right? This kind of stays clean. This one we learn to clean. If you can do that, if your house is big enough for that, um, or you can kind of like create that space now by removing everything from that space and putting it into a different place. So that is kind of you taking the charge on that, and just moving it to the pile. And then maybe the lesson starts to be like, okay, everybody, let's take from this pile and put back, right? Maybe that's kind of the thing. And I know when we were kids, there was always like a pile on the stairs to take up with us. And, if we didn't, because it's so hard to think about, I just want to I've got a one track mind as a kid. I'm going straight to grab my Barbie doll. I don't care about this stack right here. I don't even know if it's mine. I don't know what it's there for because there's not been a rule that's really been consistently drilled into my head that this is what we need to do until it has, until I'm in on the game plan for, okay, this is my step. If there's something on this step, on this third step, I know I've got to take it up. And with me every time I go, every time I pass it, right? And so imagine how many times my mom had to tell us, pick up your stuff, pick up your stuff, pick up as many times as she needed to tell us to put on our seatbelt in the car. And now I don't get in the car without putting on my seatbelt. I mean, it feels crazy to get in the car and not put on my seatbelt. Am I alone in that? You guys too? You put on your seatbelt, right? Not only has media drilled it into us, but our parents. So that's the kind of consistency in building this behavior in our kids that we need to have vigilance over. So just like that, teaching them, take from this pile and bring it into your room, right? As we leave our dinner table and you bring your plate to the sink, right? Baby steps, habit stacking. A little plug for James Clear, his book, Atomic Habits. He did not come up with habit stacking, but his book is a great one to, teach you kind of a method of doing it. And so anyway, kind of like, okay, so here's the habit of getting out of my chair from the dinner table, picking up my plate, putting it in the sink. So we've stacked together different behaviors where it's like one triggers the action, the next action. Okay, so beat that one up. Let's go to our next question. Ashley, okay, I love a good time management question. Ashley asks, I've got a toddler and a 6-month-old, and I want to be an entrepreneur, but how can I make time for a business when I only have time to be a mom? Being a mom takes all my time. Anyone there? Yeah, I think we were just kind of talking about that. So Ashley, listen to this, listen to the question before this one too. So this is a big time. This is a time management question. And I go back to, let me pull up my notes here so that I'm not rambling too much. I always go back to the fact that, so if we're balancing business and babies, what I said to the last question was simplify, simplify, simplify. It applies here. Simplify your life so much that it's impossible to do the day-to-day tasks that need to get done, that by the end of the day, you feel like, okay, I feel good about what got done. I feel good about the accomplishment I made today in developing my kids' brains. I feel good about the accomplishment in keeping my kitchen clean. I feel good about making healthy meals. I feel good about giving my kids time to play and learn and be present with them. I feel good about setting up systems in my business that work when on autopilot without me while I sleep and bring in money, generate leads and income, that kind of thing. So right. So we've kind of got our important things laid out, would you say? So that's a lot to still do. So that means something takes a back seat to those things, those front and center things. One, understand what your priorities are. What are your priorities when it comes to running a household, running a business, raising a family? What are your priorities? Literally, all three of those, write them down. And if anything doesn't fit in the box of that priority, is a distraction. Is something derailing you, not on your agenda, not for right now? What did I say? I feel like I had something really good to say. Oh yeah, I wrote this down. As things start to take more time from you in order wait, hold on. Okay. If anything, whatever starts to take more time from you as you evolve in life, as your kids grow, really has to have a passion behind it for it not to feel like an energy leak or an energy drain. If it is an energy leak or an energy drain, check your priorities. Where have you abandoned your priorities? Because your priorities have passion behind them. inherent motivation to get to attend to those things, place your attention on those things. It's built in to a priority. I've got passion and purpose, and this touches me. I can be present with the vision of having this come first. Okay. I can see myself living this as a priority. I can see myself a better person as a result of having this front and center in my life. So, what are your priorities? I'm not even going to say mine because I don't want to throw anything out there to sway you. I'm not going to give you an example. What are your priorities in life? As things as responsibilities grow and things demand more of you, people demand more of you, your roles, mother and entrepreneur, demand more of you, your clients, your kids demand more of you, then you've got to make sure that it aligns with your priorities. Priorities can shift and change and they'll grow and you'll add more priorities, but I don't think you have any more than 3 that you can really adequately manage on a day-to-day basis if you've got a house, kids, and a career. Okay. That demands your attention, your time. It's not, just even data entry takes mental power, brain power, pulls from our energy reserves, right? And the rote copying and pasting or looking at numbers, right? So there's very few jobs that are so rote that you don't need any brain power. If you're doing those things, it's probably just to make ends meet. If you're doing a dream business, then you definitely are putting in brain power and you're thinking through things and you're being thoughtful and present with building the thing, with building the business, with raising a family, with cleaning. This is a plug for mindfulness, cleaning the dishes, being present with like, oh man, I'm cleaning the house because it feels good to have a clean home for my kids to come home to, whatever for my partner to come home to, right? If that's a priority for you, you'll feel pulled to it, like moths to a flame. So as things start to take more time from you, still keep things simple and reduce your daily agenda, your daily activities, how you book yourself to the simple things. Make sure there's time enough for those things. If raising well-rounded kids is important to you, taking them to the park or teaching them a different language or enrolling them in a sports league, those kinds of things. See, like whatever you believe is them being well-rounded, you're going to do those things, right? And so you make time in the well-rounded box, you time box well-roundedness in there. You're inserting into your calendar being well-rounded. If playing with your kids is important, playing with them, understanding them, observing them, laughing with them, enjoying each other's company, put that in the time box. Put that in your agenda. If self-care is important to you, having a shower every day, eating a good balanced meal every day is important to you, we're time boxing, right? We're time boxing meal prep, have grocery shopping. We're time boxing a workout, moving our bodies and then showering after, right? Like we're putting those into our schedule because they're important to us. And then as things start getting added, you might have to reduce the time each thing gets or delete stuff from your agenda. Like where me as a single person had more time for my morning ritual than me as a mother of 2, especially a mother of a toddler and a baby. If we're talking about that, remind me again. Yeah, toddler and a 6-month-old. Then you've got a lot of then that 6-month-old needs something entirely different than the toddler. And you as mother of a toddler and a 6-year-old need something entirely different to sustain yourself, to be mother to both. I'm going to link my a couple of videos here to help you here on that. Because the mental load of a mother of a 6-month-old is different than a mother of a toddler. So respectfully, you need to give yourself the care necessary to care for the 6-month-old and the toddler individually, right? They're both needing from you something different. They both need something different developmentally in order to grow into the well-rounded person you want them to be. Things like that, right? See how this all kind of like it boils down to you taking the time to slow down and set your priorities. So, so how do I make time for a business when I only have time to be mom? So I wonder, Ashley, if you already have a business, if you want to start a business, if you're like me, you're an entrepreneur turned mom, how do you make time for the tasks that were already kind of part of the business running and operating? Or if you're thinking like, how do I make time? I want to start a business, but man, where do I even begin? How do I make the time to, that's because, and if that is what is overwhelming you in this question, you need to set your priorities. Okay, I'll stop beating a dead horse on that. Your business at the start needs something different than if it were you pivoting, if it were you scaling, if it were you selling it, it needs something different, right? So at every stage of business, your business needs something different from you. Every day, technically, as projects get completed, tasks get done, right? Something new on the checklist, right? That you get to move into. And knowing the season that you're in, tapping into your innate knowing about what your priority is right now in order to sustain the livelihood of your kids, your livelihood, the livelihood of your partner, to be a good partner in this game of life, right? You know the season that you're in, and you know what is most important right now for your people, the people that you care about, your loved ones, the people you're responsible for, the people who depend on you. You know what you need to be doing to give them what they need, right? To deliver on what they're expecting of you. And we won't talk about expectations and making sure those are on par, because I think a lot of dissension in a marriage when you have kids is that it's definitely not business as usual for the mother. She's not going to do everything she used to do before. Yeah, stay-at-home mom, working mom, whatever, career mom, like whatever she was doing before is going to look a lot different after kids. No matter what you are at, whatever height of your career, no matter what you're doing as a career, it's going to look different. Okay. Because hormonally, you're different. Hormonally, instinctually, biologically, you have a different purpose for your body and your mental load, what your mind is processing and working on and doing in order to make things flow smoothly, in order to keep this baby alive. Okay. So if we think about that, what season you're in, then everything hinges on that knowing. And the depth to which you can understand your own knowing and not deny your knowing, not lie to yourself. Oh, I can get both done. Oh, I can do the laundry and the dishes and take client calls and film a YouTube video and post an Instagram reel and all those things and rest and sleep 8 hours and walk the dog and feed the kids and take a shower and move my body and get some sunshine and. If you're thinking you can get all that done, you haven't tried. You're just thinking you can. And so you haven't really tested the theory. So until you test the theory and see that, no, I actually can't do all that. Then you start asking for help and you start simplifying your to-do list on a daily basis so that you can get the most important things done. Minimalism. You start focusing on what matters most in the season that you're in. And One thing I think a lot of mothers, especially those on maternity leave that are super hype about starting a business, to maybe not go back to the corporate world, not go back to a 9 to 5. So they're just hell bent on starting something that makes money so that they don't have to go back to work. There are things to do in maternity leave and things not to do in maternity leave for your business. And depending on if you've got things already set up in your business systems to operate without you, passive income. If you've got things automated, delegated, and deleted from your to-do list, you're in good shape. If you don't have those things, that's not the time to start all those things during maternity leave. Maternity leave is time for baby, time for mommy, time for love, and maybe challenging what was most important before and kind of reaffirming what's most important now. Reaffirming, reconfirming, confirming, all those things. Recentering your North Star on what's most important is necessary after having kids in order to know what to do in your business. So you know that, right? You know what you need. You know what your toddler needs. You know what your baby needs. You know what your household at large needs. Now you can begin from an honest place to not from an aspirational place, not from an aspirational place, us imagining ourselves 10 years from now and trying to operate from there now. No, honor the season that you're in. You don't have the time of somebody with 2 teenagers. You have the time of somebody with a toddler and a baby. It's not going to look the same. So recognize that. And right there, you eliminate so much judgment, so much negative self-talk, so much comparison trap, so much doom scrolling. You save yourself time. I just saved you 10 hours of your life, of your life in a month. I don't know. I'm saying, hey, Elva, hi, Thea. Absolutely. You want to come on my live? I will absolutely bring you on. Okay, so I love that. Let me finish this and then I'm going to bring you on, Thea. Hopefully you stay on. So we can begin from an honest place, not an aspirational place, not trying to be somebody else. I just saved you so much time in your day because now you're focused on the right things. And when you're focused on the right things, you know the right order to execute something. And every day we're clocking in our internal clock that, okay, I've got, to make sure dinner's done. I've got, right, there's like this checklist and there's this natural order ranking of what needs to get done first. And then what can take a back seat today if I didn't get to it. All that's kind of being clocked. Now, if you started to notice your patterns that, okay, yeah, this is the way I am. This is how I operate as a mom. This is what's most important to me right now in this season. Then it doesn't feel so bad to put things on the back burner. It doesn't feel awful, right? It doesn't feel bad to let some things fall through the crack that aren't that important or to try to delegate it to somebody else. This is where equal distribution of labor in your household comes in. Make sure that you have a partner who's stepping up to the plate and helping, right, enough so that you're not taking it on all yourself, lifting the heavy load all yourself, mentally and physically. Okay, so that's hugely important. Marcus wants to see the boys. I know I know. I need to bring them on here. You're right. You always tell me that. By the way, you can also visit. Okay. Okay, so let's bring Thea on. So this is my aunt-in-law. All right, Thea, are you gonna come on with me? Oh, I've done this before. So YouTube, I might bring my aunt on if she wants to be on, or if that wasn't just a butt dial. Hi, Thea. You're on live, Clarity Hotline. Was that a butt dial? Hi, Thea Elva.
I'm really excited. I understand we're learning more about Miley Cyrus.
Hi. How are you feeling?
Better.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. Do you have?
I'm doing better, but I just get tired.
Yeah.
I keep moving.
Yeah, good. Yeah, keep moving. You look good.
Huh?
You look good.
Oh, I clean my face so it's all with a little moisturizer, and I'm resting my
Ooh.
feet.
Aw.
So
Good, good, good.
I like to see those boys play soccer.
Yeah, so I'll post
I
some
mean, it's a
stuff.
riot.
It will be. It will be.
Yeah.
Aw. Well, thanks for coming on. I'll send you a video and then we'll come visit, okay?
Yeah. Ross didn't come in, so I don't know when they're coming back, next week or sometime.
Okay.
But maybe we can get to see you before then.
Yes. Okay.
See.
All right.
And everybody has a schedule.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Well,
you look fine.
Thank
Stay
you.
well.
Okay. You too. I'll see you soon. Okay. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you able to click off, or do you see the little exit button?
Yeah. My therapist is coming after a while, so
okay.
Keep moving the legs.
Okay, good.
But I'm much better.
Good.
I want to stay out of the hospital and move around.
I want you to too.
Daniel keeps me going.
Well,
I want to see the boys.
Well, so that you're not, so that you're not divulging your whole life story on a live video, I'm going to let you go. And I'll call you later. But I don't know how to. Bye. I don't know how to.
Hugs to everybody.
Mwah, mwah. Hugs back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was really sweet. That was my aunt-in-law, and she's just she's such a love. She's just a light in my life. I love her. Thank you, Thea, for coming on. I thought she was going to ask me a question. She wants to see my boys, her boys. Okay, so let's see. We've got 10 minutes left. Should I take on this question? Why do I pick all the really hard questions? Marcus, you have a question for the Clarity Hotline? This next question is, let's see if I should answer it in the time that we have. Should I buy a course on marketing to help me sell my signature course? So a lot of people are, thanks Diane for the question. A lot of people are talking signature course, right? It's like the buzzword right now. And if you are interested in selling a course, right, being an online entrepreneur in the digital marketing space, you are probably looking at putting your intellectual property into something that sells on autopilot. That is what a course is. It's being a teacher to students virtually. They can buy it, watch on demand, or watch live as you're executing on it, and maybe like a live first run, and then you're able to package that and put it out as a course. And for for it to be your signature offer, your signature course, typically that really underlines a lot of your philosophy about your topic. It teaches the philosophy of your topic. You're taking the time to run somebody through steps A through Z on getting the result that they want. And if you're already putting out a signature course, I want to trust that you've already run it live once. You've vetted it in the marketplace. You've got buyers already and reviews. So that is when you put out a signature course. Until then, there are other things to work on. Okay, so if you're buying a course on marketing to help you sell your signature course, sure, if that's where you're at. If you're not there to, if you're not really sure about a few things that come before putting out a signature offer, let's talk about that, okay? So that way we're not wasting money at the wrong time. That's how debt accrues. That's how complications in our business happen, because we're moving ahead of the eight ball. We're moving the cart before the horse. So it's like we're doing things backward. When you take things step by step by step, in the simplest way possible for the season you're in, then you can build a business that grows with you, not drowns you, not depletes you, but is actually like something that sustains your dream being fulfilled and you being present for it all and enjoying the journey, right? All those things come from when you're executing in the right order. If you take a course for a signature course, I'm wondering, do you already have that content built out? Well, then that course is going to tell you, okay, well, build the content. You know, you don't have anything to market. Well, so then there's the cart before the horse problem, because you're putting, so that's the wrong order. Okay. So to answer that question, should I buy any course for the growth of my business? That's a good question. So let me kind of drill in on that. The answer depends on who you are in business, or sorry, where you are in business, who your avatar is. Let me throw that out there since I said who. What is your signature course about? Do you have that honed in on? Is it your first time selling this? And if so, what are the results you got from the first time running it live? So instead of already packaged, it's great, and you're selling the complete product, the complete package. You've done some things piecemeal before this, right? If not, go back to the drawing board, go back to the beginning. If you're wondering, if you are ready and you've got a signature offer that's been vetted, proven in the market, you've got buyers, testimonials, and even retained them all through, you've got people that completed the course. So retention is high, let's say, then it's kind of time to be like, okay, yeah, let's package this, let's put this out, let's put some money behind it, investing my time, my energy to learn all those things that will sell this on autopilot, sell this evergreen course on autopilot. Then we're talking, the content creation of your marketing. So the copywriting, the art direction, all that creative. We're talking about not paid ads yet. That's just organic. Funnels, knowing your avatar, maybe you have more than one. What's your mindset? What's your mindset on marketing? Where do you want to live when it comes to first? We're not going to immediately be complicated in our marketing tactic just because we've got a signature course to sell, because then that sounds like you trying to prop up your price, right? It's like you trying to spend the money to prop up your price and support or justify the value of this course when it should have already been proven by the people who've run it through it the first time. So in the beginning, the reason why I asked who your avatar is if you've got a really strong niche, that's good grounds for a strong signature course, and it will make your marketing easier for that course. If you know your niche, who you're talking to, what they need from you right now, where in the journey they are, and you are ahead in the steps, ahead of them, at least in that journey, then you can speak to them. Absolutely. Because you know exactly what you need, and you're not too far gone from where they are to the point where you can resonate, you still resonate with, and they resonate with your leadership, your guidance. Okay. So that kind of all factors into your niche. But you have to also consider, so you've got your niche, who you're talking to, you have to also consider what the goals of your business are. So are you selling a course to ultimately become a speaker, become an author, become an influencer, become to sell more signature offers, right? Just be this virtual coach, maybe offer some live support in a bigger program. Like, what is the ultimate game plan? So, and how does this signature course serve in that game plan? Now, there's an easier way than launching with a signature course, because that's a lot of heavy lifting for your marketing to do. If you don't have a couple things like a community, like a lead generation system, a funnel, right? So they're coming in, they're getting fulfilled on what they opted in on, because that's lead gen. So they're being fulfilled and then nurtured, maybe to a sell. If you've got, that's a funnel. If you've got all that in place, then you can kind of work on those bigger, those overarching goals. You don't want to work on the bigger thing first, because see how there's no foundation underneath? If you've got those, actually, let me lay it out, actually. So I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you right now. The order of things would be forming a community. So consistently talking about your philosophy on this topic that you're talking about. Any topic, pick a topic, name one, whatever you're passionate about talking about, talk about that thing. Form a community around your thoughts. And so that means consistently speaking about them. So you can't, get bored about something and think you're going to form a community around it. There hasn't been enough time to gain the traction, the eyeballs, the interest, right, to form that community. When you've got your community, then you can ask for leads. And then there are a couple types of leads. The easy leads, the easy to fulfill on leads, and then the more difficult to fulfill on leads. Start with the easy ones first. Fulfill something super easy for you to get done. And I'm speaking to this mom, by the way. If you've got all the time in the world, you don't even probably, I think you should still take this order of things. But if you don't have a lot of time, this is definitely what I would say focus on in this order. And then now that you've got some leads going, then create that nurture sequence. However that is, email, text, lives, like touching base, right? Touching base on the list that you're building, because this is what you've created. This is your asset. Your list is an asset. Social media is not our asset. We don't own this. It could be gone tomorrow. Even though TikTok's not going to probably be gone. That was a worry for a lot of people who had built their platform on TikTok and hadn't created an email list, hadn't pulled them off the app and into their email, so that you're talking to them in their inbox, so that you're with them when they're not scrolling. So when you're in their minds, because you've nurtured their presence of mind of you as a brand, of you as an option to one day buy from, right? For you to get onto the comparison queue. Like I'm shopping around for this thing that I need, and you are in consideration depending on the price point. So then once you've nurtured that community and those leads, then you create buyers. So then you turn them to buyers, and then you've got a buyers list. And that buyers list, you want that to grow. You want that to grow just as fast as your leads list. And so what are you offering? And what's the price point? And a lot of times, depending on how low the price point is, it's not sustainable for a new business, for the time that you have to give your business, for your bandwidth, your clarity around how to make all this work and fit inside the day. So there's so much to consider, and everyone's unique. You just want to make sure you put in the steps. So this is what I want to leave you with. Put in the steps, form the community, generate the leads, nurture, and then make the offer. So in the nurturing, you're also like you're nurturing your community. You're nurturing your community at large, and you're nurturing your email list community, your tribe. I like to call these people your tribe. And you're still letting them know like what you're all about. And maybe you've got this product coming out sometime soon. So you're teasing some product, and then they're getting excited. Maybe they're opting in on a wait list. And so you've got these people that are genuinely interested in what you're going to put out. So in a way, you're pre-selling your list. You're warming up your list for the buy. That's a better option, right? Doesn't that sound a lot easier, instead of like launching something completely brand new, having to put paid ads? If you're launching something brand new, depending on the price point, you may or may not see a return on those ads. So much to consider. So, wow, that was a long-winded way to say, be careful about buying a course. If you're not all the way sure, that it's going to help you in the season that you're in. If you're just going to be pushed onto someone else's agenda because that's what worked for them, then I caution you to first make sure you understand your own agenda. What's your agenda in your day? And a lot of times people don't buy courses because I don't have enough time to implement this. Yeah, you don't. You don't. There's a lot to do when you're taking on a course. It's like being a student all over again. You're enrolling in the class, you're studying, you're taking the class, you're executing, you're practicing. There's practicum, right? There's trial and error, and there's Q&A, right? There's getting this thing right. There's climbing this learning curve and understanding all that goes into becoming knowledgeable about this thing in order to do it well, right? Why are you buying the course? So, and versus hiring a specialist, right? You're wanting to teach yourself to get to learn enough to be dangerous, right? To learn enough to be effective and to actually have your return on investment happen from purchasing that course. There's a lot to consider. So I would just say, make sure you know your agenda first before getting into buying into someone's course on just one little aspect of your business before you know your own business inside and out. Okay, so all in there. Thanks for coming on live with me, everyone who did. I see you, and thanks for your comments. Thank you to my Thea for coming on, and can't wait for next week. Again, I'm on YouTube and Instagram, and yeah, you can find me there. DM me. If you reply to any of these Clarity Hotlines in a comment, I always pull your question into my queue of questions, and then I answer them on the next time. Okay. All right. See you next time. Peace. Bye, Instagram. And ciao, ciao to YouTube. Peace.